Those were the first chilling words Adrian heard the night he married Isabella Kane, the youngest female billionaire in the country. Owner of Kane Industries, a woman whose beauty was almost unreal, and whose secrets were even more unbelievable. Adrian was nothing special. A soft-spoken software engineer who lived a quiet life, the kind of man no one would expect to marry a billionaire. Yet Isabella chose him. Not the CEOs, not the royal heirs, not the high-profile politicians who begged for her attention. She chose him. Her love was intense, gentle, protective, almost desperate. She clung to him like he was the only anchor she had in a world she didn't fully belong to. But everyone around them whispered, "She's hiding something. She never attends daytime events. She avoids reflections. She fired an employee just for cleaning a mirror." Adrian ignored all of it. Love blinded him, and Isabella seemed perfect, too perfect. But the mansion had one rule, only one. "Never go into the mirror room," Isabella warned, her voice trembling. "There are things you're not meant to see. If you love me, promise you'll never open that door." He promised. For months, everything was blissful. Isabella's affection grew stronger, but so did her fear. Sometimes, Adrian caught her staring into blank walls as if expecting something to appear. Sometimes she would jolt awake at night, hissing a word Adrian didn't understand. Shed. He thought it was a nightmare. He didn't know it was a warning. One night, while Isabella was away on a business trip, a loud crash echoed from the forbidden hallway. It sounded like glass breaking. Adrian froze. His heart pounded. Had someone broken in? He followed the noise. The mirror room door was slightly open, as if something inside had pushed back. His promise broke. He stepped inside, and everything changed. The entire room was lined with mirrors, floor to ceiling. But instead of reflecting him normally, each mirror distorted him, stretched him, twisted him. The air felt heavy, warm, almost alive. Then he noticed something far worse. There was no reflection of Isabella. Not in a single mirror, even though she stood behind him. Adrian turned slowly. Isabella wasn't the Isabella he knew. Her irises glowed yellow. Her pupils were vertical slits. Beneath her skin, something shifted. Something ancient. Something reptilian. Her silhouette rippled like she was shedding an illusion. She whispered, voice trembling with sorrow, "You weren't supposed to see this." The mirrors flickered, revealing her true form. Scales beneath skin, a serpentine outline hiding beneath human beauty. A creature not meant to be reflected, a creature not meant to exist in human light. Adrian stumbled back, horrified, but she caught him gently, her touch still warm. "I chose you because you saw my soul, not my reflection," she whispered. "I'm not human, Adrian, but my love for you is." The truth was terrifying, but the love in her eyes was real. And Adrian had to decide, fear her or love her beyond her nature. Life with Isabella was beautiful, but undeniably strange. She showered Adrian with affection, spoke to him with tenderness, and gave him a life most people could only dream of. Yet behind all that love was a shadow, a rule, a boundary, a fear she never explained. She never ate in front of him, never let him hold her when the sun began to rise, never walked near mirrors or reflective surfaces. And she always wore gloves, soft silk, elegant, but never removed. Adrian told himself that every couple had their quirks, but deep inside something felt wrong. It was like living in a beautiful glass palace, knowing the smallest crack could make it all collapse. Still, Isabella loved him fiercely. She remembered every detail he ever mentioned, his favorite meals, his childhood stories, even the days he felt insecure. She didn't just care for him, she seemed to worship him, but love could not erase suspicion. One evening, while returning from a company gala, they passed a shop window. Headlights from a passing car flashed across the glass, bright, quick, sharp. Isabella's body flinched violently, and in that single second, Adrian saw it. Her reflection didn't flinch. It didn't move like her. It stared back, delayed, distorted, wrong. Adrian blinked, stunned. "Isabella." She grabbed his arm with trembling fingers. "Adrian," she whispered, voice cracking. Promise me you'll never look at my reflection. No matter what happens, promise me." He nodded, though confusion twisted his stomach. What secret made a billionaire tremble like a frightened child? He tried to forget, but the memory stayed lodged in his mind like a splinter. And the whispers didn't help, from maids who thought he was out of earshot, from guards who lowered their voices when he entered, from managers who exchanged worried glances whenever Isabella touched him. "Does he know?" one whispered. "He can't know," another replied. "If he finds out, everything ends." "What ends?" Adrian wanted to ask, but he didn't, not yet. Fear battled curiosity inside him every day. He loved Isabella, but he couldn't shake the feeling that she was living a double life, that behind her soft smile hid something ancient, dangerous, or broken. Then came the night that changed everything. A storm raged outside. Rain hammered the windows. Adrian couldn't sleep. Too many questions, too much unease. He paced the mansion halls, thinking maybe a glass of water would help. That's when he noticed it. Down the forbidden corridor. The door Isabella always locked, the one she had sworn him never to enter. It was open, just barely, a thin line of silver light leaking through the crack. His breath hitched. His heart pounded. She wasn't home. No one else should have been near that door. His hand reached toward it on its own, caught between terror and the need to finally know the truth. Because for the first time, the mirror room had invited him in. Isabella had left for an emergency board meeting, leaving the house unusually silent. The hum of the air conditioner, the ticking of the antique clock, everything seemed louder, sharper, heavier. Adrian knew he shouldn't walk down the dark corridor. He had promised. But tonight, something tugged at him, a strange pull he couldn't ignore. He approached the mirror room. The door, always locked with 3 massive bolts, was ajar, just a sliver, yet it seemed to invite him in, as if daring him to cross the line. A chill swept through the corridor, curling around him like invisible fingers. His pulse quickened. Stepping inside, Adrian froze. The room was filled with mirrors, tall and ancient, arranged in a perfect circle. Their surfaces were flawless, yet unnervingly deep, reflecting him in 1,000 fragments. At the center lay a silver necklace, Isabella's. She must have dropped it in her rush. He bent down, lifting it gently. The moment he touched the necklace, a shiver ran through the mirrors. They trembled. No, quivered, as if alive. The air felt heavier, electric, thick with anticipation. Then a voice hissed behind him. "Adrian, what are you doing here?" He spun around. Isabella stood in the doorway, her figure trembling, tears pooling in her eyes. Her face, usually so composed and strong, was now a mask of fear and sorrow. "I told you never to come here," she whispered, voice quivering. "I just wanted to understand," Adrian said, taking a cautious step back. "Tell me the truth, Isabella, please." Her lips quivered. Her hands shook. Then the mirrors around them rippled like liquid, and her reflection changed. Adrian's stomach twisted. Her eyes, his warm, brown Isabella's eyes, glowed a fierce gold. Her pupils became vertical slits, like a serpent's. Her skin shimmered, scales glinting faintly under the dim light. Her hair moved as if it had a mind of its own, flowing and curling unnaturally around her face. Isabella, his loving, gentle wife, was no longer human. She was something ancient, something hidden, something dangerous. Adrian gasped, stumbling backward. His heart raced. The figure stepping forward from the mirror's glow was towering, serpent-like, covered in silver scales that reflected the faint light like liquid metal. Her face was both terrifying and heartbreakingly beautiful, with sharp elegance that spoke of centuries lived in secret. "Adrian," she whispered, her voice shaking, raw and urgent. "I am a Naga, a serpent being, half woman, half snake. My reflection reveals my true form. That's why I avoid mirrors. That's why I locked this room. That's why I begged you never to enter." He stared, disbelief and fear twisting together. "All these months. You lied to me." "No," she cried, stepping closer. Her scaled fingers reached out, trembling with longing. "I never lied about my love. I loved you honestly. I hid only what would make you afraid, what would make you run. But fear had already wrapped itself around Adrian's heart, squeezing tight. His mind raced with questions, and yet, beneath the fear, a strange awe lingered. He was standing before a being that defied all human understanding, and it was the woman he loved. For a long, shivering moment, silence filled the room, broken only by the faint trembling of the mirrors and the soft hiss of her breath. Adrian knew one thing: nothing would ever be the same again. Adrian ran, not out of hatred, not out of anger, but out of sheer, paralyzing shock. The city streets blurred past him as he drove aimlessly through the night. The hum of the engine, a poor companion to the storm raging in his mind. Every memory of their marriage played in loops, Isabella's laughter echoing down sunlit hallways, her quiet gestures of care, the way she always seemed to know what he needed before he even asked. But now, the scales, the truth, the impossibility. He gripped the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles white. Was her love real? Was she dangerous? Am I even safe? Fear and confusion collided inside him, leaving a hollow ache he couldn't shake. By dawn, with the city still cloaked in mist, he returned home, not because he had a plan, but because he had nowhere else to go. He needed answers. The apartment was eerily quiet when he entered. There, in the corner of the grand living room, sat Isabella. She was curled into herself, small and fragile, a striking contrast to the powerful, untouchable woman the world knew her as. Her chest rose and fell slowly, silently, like a wounded creature, not angry, not defensive, just heartbroken. "You can leave," she whispered, her voice trembling like delicate glass. "But before you do, you need to know the truth." She slid a file across the polished floor toward him. Adrian's fingers hesitated over it, every instinct screaming to turn away, but curiosity, and something deeper, compelled him to look. Inside were documents that painted a picture he had never imagined. Receipts proving she had secretly paid for his mother's surgery, funds that had saved his fledgling company from ruin, contracts and correspondences shielding him from rivals he didn't even know existed. Every act of generosity, every quiet protection, it had been her. "I gave you everything," she said, her voice breaking, trembling with raw vulnerability. "Not because I'm some monster, but because you were the first person who ever loved me for me, not my money or my power." She removed her gloves slowly, deliberately. The soft click of metal scales brushing together filled the silence. Adrian froze. Beneath her skin, delicate, silver scales shimmered in the morning light, intricate and otherworldly. "Adrian," she said softly, her gaze locking with his, "I can look human, love human, but my reflection cannot lie. If you walk away now, I will accept it." And then he saw her, not the scales, not the secret life, not the mystery, but the woman who had loved him fiercely, quietly. No one else did. His chest tightened. His fear was still there, but it was dwarfed by something stronger: love, trust, and a lifetime of shared moments. He reached for her hand, feeling the cool, smooth surface beneath his fingers. "I'm scared," he admitted, his voice low, almost a whisper. "But losing you scares me more." For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Isabella's eyes, serpent or not, flickered with hope, and in that fragile, tender light, something extraordinary bloomed, the certainty that love could survive even the strangest truths. Healing took time. Wounds, both seen and unseen, do not vanish overnight. But Adrian stayed, not because he understood everything, but because love, he realized, sometimes demands embracing the unknown. Sometimes it means choosing mystery over comfort, trust over certainty, and connection over fear. The first weeks were quiet. Conversations were careful, tentative, as if the air itself was charged with secrets. Isabella did not push. She let him adjust, let him reconcile the woman he had loved with the being he had only glimpsed in the mirror. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she began to share pieces of her world, a world Adrian could never have imagined. Her species had lived among humans for centuries, hidden yet ever present. They were guardians of ancient treasures, keepers of knowledge so old that even the most learned historians only dreamed of it. Their wealth was not merely for indulgence, it was a shield, a means of survival. And mirrors, the very thing humans trusted for reflection, were their undoing. Only in mirrors could their true form be revealed, elegant, fearsome, and utterly otherworldly. Adrian listened, enraptured. Every revelation made her more extraordinary, yet more intimate in her vulnerability. Every detail of her life, every secret sacrifice, made him realize the depth of her courage. And through it all he saw the truth of her heart, unchanging, unwavering, and devoted entirely to him. He became the only human she had ever trusted with such knowledge, and he carried that trust like a sacred weight. Time passed, seasons shifted, and 1 year after the night that had shattered his world, Adrian found himself standing in the mirror room with Isabella. The light was soft, filtered through tall windows, casting delicate reflections on the walls. He took her hand in his, feeling the smooth, silvery scales beneath his fingers, their coolness a reminder of the impossible truth he had embraced. She turned to him, eyes shimmering with emotion, fear, hope, love, and slowly she allowed him to see her true form, fully and without hesitation. She was not a monster, not a beast, not the frightening myth he might have imagined. She was powerful and ancient, her presence commanding yet tender, her form a testament to centuries of wisdom and resilience. And still, despite all that power, she loved him with a depth that was fierce, unwavering, and profoundly human. Adrian's chest tightened and a smile broke across his face. "I didn't marry your reflection," he said softly, his voice steady despite the awe in his heart. "I married your heart." Isabella leaned into him, her scales catching the sunlight in delicate, iridescent patterns, shimmering like liquid silver. They stayed that way for a long while, suspended in a quiet intimacy that no one else could ever understand. And from that day forward, the world knew them as the richest, most powerful couple alive. But only they knew the truth. The billionaire wife was not human. Her lineage, her existence, was a secret carried for centuries. And yet, paradoxically, her love was more human, more tender, and more profoundly real than anything Adrian had ever known. In a world of mirrors and illusions, it was her heart that reflected the deepest truth. And in that truth they had found home, together,